Hello there. I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Someone's calling me right now. Nope. Okay. All right. So sorry about that. I hope everyone's doing well. I am here. Hope it's not too late. No, pretty much right on time. Good. I had a couple last minute things I was trying to desperately get done before 9 o'clock. And so here I am. So I hope everyone is doing great. It's good to be with you. Hello there, Kataka. Okay, good to see you. All right. Oops. Scroll down there. All right. So I see we've got some super chats here already, and let me jump into those. First of all, let's see. Hello, Zebubs. Hello, Shalom Aleichem. Diane is in the house and has made a $20 contribution. Thank you, Diane. Diane's asked, are strawberries acid or subacid? Do you think adding trace minerals to distilled water is a good idea? Okay, it's great questions. Strawberries are acid fruits, and you can tell. I mean, I think you can tell when you bite into something. You can taste the acid. You can definitely taste the acid in strawberries. Now, of course, if they're sweet enough, that sugar may overwhelm the acid, but you can still taste the acid there underneath. And I don't think that adding, I mean, if all you had was distilled water, if that was the only source of water available to you, then adding minerals to it might be helpful, because if we're drinking distilled water without anything added, the body can't actually use it. Okay, we actually need to have those inorganic minerals present, not because the body uses them as nutrients. It doesn't. We use the nutrients in food. We use the minerals in food. The problem is that if we're drinking distilled water, that water won't cross cell membranes and won't conduct electricity, which is what we run on. Okay, we need water that will conduct electricity, and that's water from nature. All water from nature, spring water. This water, for instance, which comes right out of the ground right here. Crystal clear, perfect, tastes like water should taste, which is basically nothing. This water contains inorganic minerals, as water should, as water always does, as rain does, as all water does in nature. Distilled water, distillation removes all the minerals from the water, and it is not something that the body can really use, and not something that we should ever consume. So not something I'd recommend doing. But I wouldn't use, I don't say, well, no, take distilled water and then add minerals. The problem is when we add something, right? So this water contains a fair amount of calcium and various amounts, small amounts of other minerals as well, with calcium being the most present. But if I were to take distilled water and add calcium to it, your body would recognize that that was not part of the water. It's something that we'd added to it. It doesn't interact the same way as it does with the minerals that are naturally in the water through the hydrological process, the hydrological cycle. We wind up having minerals in the water, even with rain. Rain always contains minerals. In one study, the average, I think there were 40 different samples, and the average sample contained 3 minerals, and some contained as many as 5 or even 7, perhaps. In nature, water droplets only leave the air, only condense when they encounter a solid object. In a distiller, it's the stainless steel collection plate that the steam rises, it hits the stainless steel plate and condenses, and then drips down into the second chamber. But in the air, it only forms water droplets when it encounters dust, pollen, minerals in the air, pollutants, anything like that. And that's so you can actually create rain clouds if you have enough trees. If you have a large enough area with trees, the tree pollen will actually create rain clouds because the water droplets will condense around the pollen. Okay, so adding minerals to distilled water, you still have something which is unnatural, which I personally would never consume unless it was literally the only choice I had. Okay, it's not something I would ever choose unless there was nothing else. If there's nothing else and I need something to survive, it would help, but far inferior to drinking spring water. Okay, far inferior. Now, of course, with spring water, the water has to be clean. The fact that it comes out of the ground isn't enough to ensure that it's healthy to use. Okay, but it should be from the ground, ideally. All right. Let me go to Z-Bubs. Z-Bubs has made a $5 Canadian contribution and said, how long can a healthy 80% water person hibernate? Are there other people that are 80% water online that show their bodies? Well, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I don't know anyone who hibernates. I guess if you're asking, how long could we go without eating or drinking anything? I don't know. I think there are people who claim to have gone a long time doing this, but is that really true? Most of the people, for instance, who claim to be breatharians have been shown to be lying about it, consuming food regularly, if not occasionally, which, it's very different to say I never eat or drink anything to say, well, I eat and drink sometimes. Well, yeah, lots of us could live a long time eating and drinking sometimes. So I don't know what the answer is. I just saw a video from a lovely English woman who unfortunately has believed in this nonsense of dry fasting, and her video was shot on day 10 of her dry fast, and she can barely speak. She's talking about how dry her mouth and throat is. She's talking about, I think she's maybe 35 and lovely, but she's talking about how her skin is all wrinkled. And then she says something like, but this is good because it's the dryness that allows the body to heal. There's no logic or science to support that notion. In fact, detoxification requires water in order to move the toxins out of the body. They're moved out of the body on water. Water is the universal transport medium. So whether it's from the urinary tract or it's through the colon, through the skin, through the breath, through the mucous membranes, nothing's happening if it's dry. There has to be some water to be able to move this stuff out. What happens when there's not enough water to make enough urine to remove the impurities from the bloodstream, as well as the excess material from the bloodstream? What happens? You damage your kidneys. Okay, this is what killed Dr. Robert Lockhart, 16 months ago. Okay, a man in his 70s who was perfectly healthy until he began dry fasting and going every day without drinking any water, believing foolishly, unfortunately, that he was getting all the water he needed from his fruit and salad. A lot of people make the same mistake. They think, it's understandable, right? The reasoning is understandable. Well, I'm consuming something that's high in perfect water. How could I not get enough water? And the answer is that if you've gone 30, 40, 50 years consuming conventional foods, which contain almost no water. Okay, remember, stool, poop is 75% water. Most people are eating meals that are between 30 and 50% water. So every time they eat, the body is losing water. It's not getting water in as it should be. It's losing water. This is how people get dehydrated. People stay dehydrated until they clean the old stuff out. And so taking a typical dehydrated body and going days or weeks without drinking any water is a recipe for disaster. People think that they're healing their bodies because they don't have any symptoms. But symptoms are evidence that the body's cleansing and healing. And there's no cleansing and healing that happens without having sufficient water. It can't happen. Okay, critically important to understand this. This is something that most people fail to understand. Most people think, well, if I have no symptoms, I must be better off, right? I feel better, therefore I must be better. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So give me just 1 second. Nothing yet, huh? You want to go knock on the door? Yeah, I wonder if I told them yesterday, but maybe there's someone out there right now, if you want to open the door. Okay, sorry about that. just attending to somebody here. Okay, so I hope this makes sense, right? So I don't know. I mean, most people, medicine says, science says you can go 4 days without water, but that's not the case. I've done that 3 times, and by the way, it was perfectly fine. One of the breatharians tried that, and on the 4th day, the doctors said that they weren't. She needed to stop because she looked like she was going to die. Okay, I was perfectly fine, and don't pretend to be a breatharian. But I went without food or water 3 times for 4 days. It's it was okay, but there was no benefits. I wasn't in any way better off than I was by drinking water. Water fasting. Water fasting is far more intelligent, and it actually supports the body in being able to detoxify. The one thing that we've seen here is every single session for years now, we measure everyone's hydration levels every day now. The most dehydrated people showing up here are those people who come in eating, with a history of dry fasting. The next most dehydrated people are the people who eat a fruit-based diet but don't drink water. Okay, and they're usually very dehydrated because you're not going to get enough water with a perfect diet. You're not going to get enough water until you've cleaned the garbage out. Once you've cleaned all the garbage out, that's different. Then it's no problem. But if you haven't done that yet, you're not going to get what you need from just the water and the food alone. Okay, it's not going to be enough. And we see this over and over again. So I hope that helps answer your question, Zebab. Okay, let me scroll down here. We have a couple more, several more super chats actually. I'm having trouble scrolling. There we go. So Run Guy has made a $10 contribution. Thank you so much. And retracted the message. So, here we go, down below. Dave Asprey says that proteolytic enzymes taken during a fast will increase and accelerate the benefits of autophagy. Does that sound like something worth trying? It does not to me. We never interfere with the body's processes. So Dave Asprey may be a smart guy, but we're never going to be more intelligent than the body. We don't need to help the body. Okay, we don't need to try to manipulate it into getting better results. Dave Asprey probably doesn't know how to fast properly because very few people do. I seriously doubt he's getting enough water. I seriously doubt he's resting enough. And I have no idea how long he's fasting for. But we never take anything while fasting, and we get the best results when we do that. Take nothing. Okay, that's always going to be the best policy. I'd be very happy to prove this to Dave by fasting him long enough to show him what's actually possible. And for anyone who's not familiar with, Dave Asprey is one of these guys, biohackers, right? They're looking for ways to improve on the body's functioning, to make us live longer and be superhuman. The best way to do that is to meet the body's needs. We give the body the opportunity to cleanse and heal by fasting 21 days or more, not less than that. It's not long enough. 21 days or more. Give the body the chance to feel and function as well as possible by eating the only foods on the planet that our bodies are actually adapted for. Okay, the things that give us everything we need without creating anything we don't need. Anything else we're consuming is creating problems for us. Okay, that's the way we're going to maximize our potential. And I'm willing to guarantee that to anyone in writing if they're willing to come here, spend at least a month with me, and be coachable and actually do what I'm telling them to do. If they do that, they're going to see amazing results because it happens every time, as long as they do what they need to do. Okay, that's what happens. Stephanie is here and has made a $1.99 contribution. Thank you, Stephanie. I know I owe you a message. I will get back to you as soon as I have time to. It's been crazy busy, crazy meetings, calls day after day. Every hour, every morning, I'm completely booked solid. Paula is in the house. Paula Vandeveer has just made a $60 contribution and said, happy birthday, hero. Thank you so much, Paula. I very much appreciate your kindness and your generosity. For anyone who wasn't aware of it, I have a birthday on Sunday. I will turn 60. And it's crazy. It's hard to believe because I don't feel anywhere near that old. My body still feels and functions amazingly well. But that's what they say. That's what it is. Anyway, thank you so much, Paula. I really, really appreciate that. Diane is back with a $10 contribution. Do you consider blackberries and blueberries to be acid or subacid? Yes and yes. I mean, blackberries, I would say, are acid, and blueberries, subacid. And by the way, since you're asking about the berries, berries are amazing foods, relatively high in water, most of them, not blueberries. Blueberries are in the same range as things like grapes, which are not particularly high in water. Blackberries, raspberries, strawberries are all relatively high in water, and perfectly fine foods to eat to break a fast. Excellent foods. I mean, blueberries are wonderful things, don't get me wrong. But for breaking a fast, for instance, when you're or for anyone that's trying to hydrate the body, there's a dramatic difference. By sticking to things that are high in water content, we dramatically improve our hydration levels because it makes a huge difference. Okay. Okay. So Jan Turgeon has made a 5 Canadian contribution and has said, I see some crazy things happening here. Paula, look what you've started here. We'll get to this in just a minute. But Jan says, hi, Loren. The average lifespan is about 80 years. If everyone made the right lifestyle choices, by how much do you think this average could increase? I believe that every human being could live to 125 or longer if we made optimal choices. Okay, I live in one of the world's blue zones, and people here routinely lived until over 100 to 105 or so. It's typical. I went to a friend's father's funeral. He was 101. That's not unusual here. It's becoming more unusual all the time. Unfortunately, the older generation, the people that are dying now, those people who grew up here, they grew up through most of their lives until 25 or 30 years ago. There was no roads up here. There was no power here. They went to bed when it got dark. They woke up when it got light. They lived on the foods that they produced themselves. Very little animal products because animals are expensive. Most people here couldn't afford that. And so they lived mostly on fruits and vegetables. They would buy, they would go to town on a horse, and it would take all day, and they would buy a sack of rice and a sack of beans. And then they would live, they would eat greens and fruits and all the other vegetables they could grow themselves. They did physical work. So they were always, there was no one sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. They were all doing physical activity all the time. They had sunshine, fresh air, pure water coming out of the ground everywhere. In the Las Cascadas project, where we have 1,800 acres owned or under contract, every single farm, I think there's 16 farms that currently make up the project, something like that. Every single farm has at least one spring on it. Some of them have multiple springs on them. So there's plenty of amazing, and Costa Rica is famous for its incredibly high, incredibly beneficial water, clean, pure, excellent water. We have our water tested regularly. It's amazing. It's nearly perfect, as it should be. In fact, there is a multiple, and I don't remember what it is, but if you look at any mammal, if you look at their gestation period, you look at their average lifespan and divide it by their gestation period. Now, this is animals in nature, not dogs and cats, because dogs and cats don't live as long as they should because we feed them crap, right? But animals in nature, if you take a mammal and divide its lifespan by its gestation period, you'll get almost the same multiple every time. And if you multiply 9 months, our gestation period, by that same number, you'll get 120 or 125, something like that. That's about how long I believe we can live. Maybe longer than that. Okay, maybe longer than that. All right. Let's see here. Ian is here today. Thank you, Ian, for your 10-pound contribution. And Ian says, it's durian season here in Thailand, but of all fruits, it's the only one that repeats on me. Should I just avoid it as I have lots of other choices of good fruits here, or should I be concerned? Yeah, you should avoid it, Ian. What you should do is you should take all those durians that you would have eaten and you should send them to me here, and I'll take care of them for you. Okay. Durian repeats on a lot of people, and you might want to make sure you're chewing thoroughly and eating slowly. You might want to make sure you're not overeating. But durian is relatively difficult to digest because it naturally contains relatively high fat content, about 17% fat content, as well as lots of sugar. And those are two things that, while they taste good together, I mean, processed foods are typically fat, sugar, and a little bit of salt. That's the recipe. And they vary those things, but that's what everything contains, and that's what people are looking for. And durian contains ample natural fat and ample sugar, and it's difficult for us to digest those two things together. And so it's going to repeat on many people. It repeats on me too, to some degree. And that, if you're not familiar with that term, what that means is people burp when they eat it. I'm not going to stop, and sometimes pass gas as well. I'm not going to stop eating it because of those things. I'm never going to live on it. If I lived in Thailand, I mean, here we have planted many durian trees. Most of them have not survived. We probably don't know what we're doing yet. Durian trees are very finicky, though. They're hard to grow and harder than most other fruit trees. And so we haven't been very successful yet. Now, we've planted a bunch more this past year, and I haven't seen yet how they've done. We've tried a different strategy, planted them down by the edge of the forest. Well, they'll, at least when they're young, they'll get some shade. They'll get plenty of water down by the stream. And hopefully they're going to do better that way. But we'll see what happens. Every year we've been replacing most of the durian trees we've planted. And we're going to do the same thing this year. We're going to plant as many as we can. But, again, I don't know. They're not native to this climate. But if I lived in a place where I had ample durian, I suspect that I would eat it, twice a week during durian season, something like that. I've gone as long as 4 days in a row with durian and did not want it on the 5th day. It's just, for me, it's just too rich. It's too heavy. It's too much. I love it. It's my favorite fruit, but enough is enough, right? I mean, I thought before I moved here, I thought, well, I'll probably eat mangoes every single day when I've got mangoes available. And we have mangoes almost every day of the year here. We have mangoes available to us. I don't eat them every day. I love them. They're amazing. They're the most popular fruit on the planet. Most people love them, but I don't want to eat them every day. There are days my body wants something that's less sweet. It wants something that's higher in water. And so, my go-to foods are watermelon and papaya. I eat those more than anything else. When I have red bananas, I'll eat those every day. I mean, those I so far have never gotten tired of. As long as I've had them, we don't have them. We have a bunch right now. I've probably got 3 or 4 meals worth, but they're not ripe yet. But when they're ripe in a few days, I'll eat them every day until they're gone. But that's only going to be 3 or 4 days. I mean, maybe if I had them every single day of the year, maybe I would some days not want them. I don't know. This is what I found with other things. Okay, so I hope that helps. I wouldn't be concerned. I would keep eating the durian and enjoy it very much. Although if you're really a good guy, you'd probably invite me to join you for those durians. I won't be traveling out there. I don't think I can right now anyway. Okay, let's see. Sharon Passion is here and has made a $5 Canadian contribution. Thank you so much. Sharon says, hi, Loren, I have low bone density and a touch of osteoarthritis in my shoulder. I'm 60, eat well, and exercise daily. What can I do more going forward? Okay, so the first place to look, Sharon, first of all, I'm sorry that you're dealing with these issues. The good news is these issues are things that you can recover from. Okay, you're not sentenced to dealing with these things for the rest of your life. These are things you can recover from. We have people healing from these issues all the time. And the first piece is you say you eat well, and everything's relative. So I'm sure you're an intelligent person. You eat probably much better than most people do. But is it as close to optimal as possible? The reason that most people lose bone density, right, osteopenia, which later becomes we're losing bone density because our systems are tending to acidic. And what happens is, and that happens because of the foods we eat. So most of the things that people eat, even things that we think are healthy, like grains and legumes and all animal products, many cooked foods are acid-forming foods. Sugar, all acid-forming foods. So when we're eating acid-forming foods, most people's diets predominate in acid-forming foods. What that means is that every time we eat a meal, our pH in the blood tends to drop. Now, we have to keep it in a healthy range, because if it goes too low, we die. And so what the body does, it has to be in a range of 7.35 to 7.45. Okay, it's a very narrow range. And if it moves too far out of that range, it would literally kill us. Okay, there's not much the body can deal with. It has to maintain that. In order to maintain the proper pH, when the pH is tending to go down, what the body will do is it will look for alkaline things it can bring into solution. So what do we have that's alkaline? Well, we have calcium and other minerals, which we store mostly in our bones. So when someone is losing bone density, what the body is doing is it's actually taking those minerals from the bones on purpose, because the choices are give up some bone density or die. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is understand that this happens because our bodies are trying to protect us, but keep us alive, because we've been consuming things that tend to drop our blood's pH. Okay, and we can affect this, we can change this by changing our diet. But the first thing to do is to give up all acid-forming foods. As you may know or may not know, I eat and advocate eating only alkaline-forming foods. So, my diet consists of fruit and soft, tender, leafy greens, simple salads. Every once in a while, I'll eat some nuts or seeds, but not very often. They're acid-forming as well. Okay, I don't eat very many of those. Not because of the acid-forming piece, that's part of it, but because my body doesn't want concentrated fat. When the body's clean, it won't want concentrated fat. And so the first step is to change your diet. But the next and most important thing that you can do is to fast long enough to completely alter the body chemistry. You alkalize your body, you clean out all the garbage, which is also acid forming. You deal with your emotions, because those are also acid forming. Once you're done the fast, after fasting, you do weight-bearing exercise. Okay, you eat optimally, you do weight-bearing exercise, and you get sunshine. You need sunlight. You need vitamin D from sunshine. Vitamin D supplements are not the same. Okay, yes, they can protect people who are in danger, but we're tropical animals, and we actually need real vitamin D from sunlight. Okay, because vitamin D is a hormone. It's a prohormone. It's produced by the body. When sunlight strikes the skin, the body converts the body's own cholesterol, not cholesterol from foods, from animal products, because cholesterol only comes from animal products. Animals make cholesterol like we do. If we eat animals or animal products, they contain cholesterol. We don't need or want that. Our bodies make all the cholesterol they need, but it's in the presence of sunlight that the body converts cholesterol on the skin into vitamin D and then absorbs it. And so you need to get sunshine. We need to not bathe with soap within about 3 hours after sunbathing or after being in the sun, because soap will wash those oils off the skin, and so we won't be able to absorb the vitamin D. Okay, but that's the recipe. Get your body clean with fasting long enough. Supervised fast, 21 days or more. I can guide you remotely if you can't get yourself here. Okay, fast long enough and properly. Drink enough water. I didn't mention that. Drink enough water. That's important. Eat optimally, which I can guide you to do, and then exercise, weight-bearing exercise. Get sunlight. Get enough sleep, and your body will recover lost bone density. It happens all the time. And the arthritis as well. This is something your body will heal with fasting, because we see this over and over again. Okay, my mother's 35 years of arthritis healed in 16 days of fasting. Now, for you, with the problems with your bones, you're going to need to do 21 days at least. Okay, but if you're willing to do that and you're willing to take coaching, I will guarantee you that you're going to feel and function so much better when you're done. You won't believe you're in the same body. Okay, you're going to go from 60, your actual chronological age, to a physiological age of maybe 45 or 50 with your first fast. Okay, and then, with subsequent fasts, you'll get even younger physiologically. Okay, that's what happens. So I hope that helps you. All right, let me scroll on down. I see Lisa B has wished me a happy birthday. Thanks so much. Stephanie, happy birthday. Thank you so much. Big 6-0. Yep. I'm skipping lots of messages as I do because we have lots of super chats here. We still have half an hour. If there's time, I will go back and look at the other messages. But if not, I may not be able to get to them all. So that's just the way it rolls here. And Will has made a $50 contribution. Thank you so much. And said, happy birthday, Loren. I have gained so much information and inspiration from your videos. You are very, very welcome. I am incredibly happy and grateful that I'm able to make videos that are helping so many people. I literally hear from people every single day. It's what keeps me going, when I'm tired and worn out and wishing that, I picked an easier way to make a living, struggling to pay bills. I'm grateful that to hear from people who are actually seeing amazing shifts in their health and vitality. And I'm so happy that these videos have helped you, and I very much appreciate your kind contribution and support here. Angry Minpin has made a $50 contribution and said, thank you for another Friday Live and happy upcoming birthday. Thank you so much. Again, it's so kind. I appreciate that so much. I'm noticing here, Dat Boy has said way longer than that. 125 years is a joke. Okay, well, show me people living to 125, and then we can talk about what a joke it is. It's maybe we can go longer. That's a pretty good start. Okay, that's a more than 50% improvement on what the average person is currently doing. So I would say not a bad place to start. All right. Alexis De Prato is here and has made a €21.99 contribution and said, hi, Loren. I've been hurt yesterday by alarm at work trying to stop it. The signal was so strong it hurt my ears really bad. Doctors gave me anti-inflammatory for a week to prevent hearing damage and tinnitus. Any tips? Yeah, don't take the drug. Okay, all drugs are toxic substances. I would never take a drug again unless I absolutely needed to. Okay, some of you, if you've been around for a while, that, let's see, 4.5 years ago, I fell right out here, 3 meters onto concrete, broke my right hip, was in incredible pain, so much so that I couldn't sleep. I did no medicine, just fasting, couldn't sleep for 4 nights. On the 5th night, someone gave me a Tylenol. I took one, ibuprofen. I took one more the next night so I could sleep because I hadn't slept at all. I was in so much pain. And then I threw the rest away. And that's the only medications I've taken in 35 years. No, I take that back. It's probably been 30 years, roughly. Okay. I'm coming up on 30 years raw vegan. I'm halfway there. In November, it'll be 30 years raw vegan, fruit-based diet. And since then, I took a few supplements. The first year, I continued to take some supplements and then gave those up. So it's now 29 years since I've taken anything at all. Actual drugs, it probably is 32, maybe 34 years since I've taken any drugs whatsoever. Okay. At least 1,000 years, right? Good luck with that. So my tips, what should you do? So the first step is you give up the drugs. The second step, if you can take time off, okay, if you're really injured, get some time off and fast. Have me guide you through the fast. We have helped many people regain their hearing after losing their hearing. Now, someone who's congenitally deaf, who was born without the ability to hear, usually because of a mechanical problem in the ear, they're not going to start hearing by fasting. That's not going to happen, okay? But those people who lost their hearing as a result of an accident, of an injury of some kind, or exposure, often it's exposure to repeated loud noise, loud sound. One that comes to mind that I've shared before, we had a client whose claim to fame was that he was the lead guitarist for the loudest rock and roll band in his city for 25 or 30 years, and he'd lost 70% of his hearing prior to fasting with me. He regained his hearing completely fasting for 42 days. Given what's happened to you, that's probably not necessary. You don't need to go 42 days. We could probably get you amazing results in 21 days, okay? But that's my advice. Get enough sleep, sip enough water, and fast as soon as possible. Make the arrangements to fast with me as soon as you can, because you want to correct this as soon as possible. The sooner you address it, the better your results will be, okay? All right. Let's see. Lori Linden is here and has made a $5 contribution. Lori says, Loren, how do you measure for hydration? Well, we do a couple of things. First of all, we use a sophisticated bioimpedance device. We have a couple of them now, and are actually looking at another device that might be even more sophisticated. But these devices were designed, in the technology was invented in order to measure hydration. That was its primary purpose. This was back when the U.S. military was in the first Gulf War, and they wanted to ensure the safety of U.S. military personnel in desert conditions. And so this technology was invented to be able to measure in the field with something that was portable and, relatively inexpensive, because they're devices that are hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they're not portable and they're incredibly expensive. And not something you want to take into a battle situation, perhaps. And so this technology was invented to do that. We use a sophisticated machine, and it actually measures the amount of water in the body. We then calculate what percentage of that water should accrue to your lean tissue. Now, there may be some error, because we have to make some assumptions to do that. We know that body fat is roughly 10% water, but it may vary, and we don't have a way to measure that. So we're making some assumptions, but at least we're comparing apples to apples, one person to the next. And it gives us a lot of information. I also figured out years ago how to interpret your daily vital signs. I mean, you may not take vital signs every day, but we do. But how to interpret blood pressure and pulse, etc., to see whether you're getting enough water, whether your blood volume is where it should be. So blood volume is not equivalent to hydration. In other words, measuring your blood volume doesn't tell us what your hydration level is, not directly, but there's a relationship. You could have perfect blood volume and be dehydrated, okay, simply by drinking enough water. You could still be dehydrated, but your body might be making enough blood. But if you are dehydrated, because blood is so important, if you're, let me say it this way, if the numbers tell us that your blood volume is not where it should be, we know that you're dehydrated, okay? Because if you were fully hydrated, whether you drank water or not, your body would take the water from somewhere else to make enough blood. So we have a couple of different ways we can see what's going on with hydration, measuring it directly and also looking to see what's going on with blood volume itself. Okay, I hope that makes sense, Lori. Ian is back. Oh, Ian, thank you so much. Ian has made, I'm not sure what it is, Ian. I don't think you ever told me what all the fours represent. Ian's handle is Ian444444, and Ian has made a 44 pound contribution and had said, many happy returns for Sunday, and welcome to the 60 Club. I beat you by a month. Thank you for spreading your valuable knowledge. You are very, very welcome. Thank you so much for your generosity, for constantly being here and being supportive. And I appreciate that very much, Ian. I hope we get to meet in person someday. We've had the chance to connect via Skype, and that's pretty close. That's pretty good. But it'd be nice to actually spend some time with you. Ken Grew is here and has made a $5 Canadian dollar contribution with a comment that says, thanks, Loren, for answering my questions when I ask in the comments. You're very welcome. Unfortunately, when there's no super chat, I don't always see the comments. If I don't have time to read them all, I may miss them. Michael from Austria, Michael Austria, is here in the house. Hello, Michael, again. Good to see you. It's been a couple hours since we spoke. And Michael has made a €5.28 contribution. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I see Lime Linda. I'm not sure. Does anyone have any experience about Bach flowers? Do flower essences help? Well, I don't have any experience with Bach essences. The question is, do they help? I mean, the important thing to understand is that our bodies are self-healing. So flower essences, essential oils, herbs, can have an impact on symptoms and how and various other things, but can they actually heal the body? Absolutely not, because healing is a biological process. Only the organism can heal the organism. Okay, so can it help you? Well, you'll notice if you're here regularly, there are virtually always fresh flowers here. I'm in Costa Rica. We have flowers 12 months of the year, lots of them, and I like having flowers. So my staff makes sure that I always have fresh flowers here. It can't hurt you to have flowers around, that's for sure. Are they going to heal you? No. Might they help with some symptoms? Yeah, it's entirely possible that they might. Okay, that's entirely possible. So let's see. I have quite a few people here with me on Instagram, and quite a few people here on YouTube as well. I noticed that most of you have forgotten, or perhaps have chosen not to give it a like or a thumbs up. If this is valuable to you, if you're enjoying this, if you think there's some value here, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. That's helpful. And the other thing that you might want to do, if you think other people might benefit from this information, would be to share the links so that other people can also get a chance to see this live broadcast. I say these live broadcasts because I'm here every week for years now. Every once in a while when I'm traveling, it's difficult, if not impossible, to get online for this, but I'm almost always here. So please do that. I thank you so much. I see the many more likes on YouTube. I appreciate that. Looks like we've got a few more here on Instagram as well. I appreciate that too very much. Thank you. Gitanjali is here and it says, my acquaintance uses them regularly and says, yes, they help. Okay, there you go. There's an opinion. I'm going to scroll back up to the top until or unless we have another super chat. I will work my way down and answer questions here. I was scrolling up to see if we had questions here on Instagram. I'm not seeing too many of those, but let me see what we have. Zebub says, I consider palm oil to be non-vegan because I heard it screws over the orangutans. How much do other animals get screwed over when I drink Coke and pad thai noodles and rice and fake meat? It's a good question, and I can't answer that because I don't know exactly how all those, what the process is to create each and every one of those things. I think what's true is that when we grow food through conventional agriculture, we are definitely upsetting the environment and the ecosystem around us in significant ways. By the way, fake meat, this is processed crap, right? And I understand, that there are people who think, well, it's better than real meat. And certainly no one should be eating real meat. We have no right to kill other animals and use their flesh. And it's bad for us. It's harmful to us, no matter what. But processed food is crap. And, I can see those people who say, well, I'm never going to give up eating meat. Therefore, maybe it's better for me to eat, at least ethically, maybe it's better for me to eat this processed, fake meat. I personally would never eat fake meat. It's not food, right? Food is something I can walk outside here and pick off of a tree, or pick off of a vine, or pick off of a shrub, off a plant. We did a tour yesterday, by the way. We have a group of people leaving tomorrow. And so yesterday afternoon, I took those people who were up for it on a fairly long walk, a 90-minute tour of the gardens, and to show them, about permaculture and explain what we do and show them some of the fruit trees, etc. And I've been so busy, I haven't had as much time as I usually take to get out into the gardens and, really get down below. We have a bunch of large jackfruits on the trees. We have we have a bunch of large avocados on a tree that's fruiting for the first time. We have a lot of mangoes that are just about ready to eat. We've been eating mangoes. It's mango season in this part of Costa Rica now for a while. But because we're up at some elevation, our trees fruit a little bit later. So they've had fruit on them for a long time. But it's now getting close to the time to actually harvest the fruit. It's been too early until now. And we have many varieties, many new things that are fruiting for the first time. It's very exciting. Every year, there's more things fruiting, and so we should count how many trees we have that are fruiting right now. It's incredible, and it's so gratifying to see. It just makes me feel good to see all these amazing things growing in our own garden, because that's all we should be eating is fresh, whole foods. That's the best we can do. That's what we ought to do. Okay, Alexis is back with another $21.99 and says, Loren, I'm afraid because doctors said if I don't take anti-inflammatory for a week, I can have permanent hearing damages and tinnitus according to their studies. But I also understand your vision. I feel like playing poker. Okay, I'm not sure. It sounds like you're saying you want to gamble. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I mean, the body heals the body. Inflammation is actually there for a reason. And it's true that if inflammation lasts a long time, usually not a week, but much longer, there can be permanent damage. Okay, the inflammation is not the problem, though. Inflammation is actually part of the cure. Our bodies create inflammation as part of the healing process. The problem is that many people continue making choices, engaging in behaviors, eating foods that create ongoing inflammation. And so if we're doing the same behaviors over and over again and creating this inflammation over and over again, then we're damaging the body. But for instance, if I injured my wrist a couple weeks ago, okay, playing on the beach, playing Frisbee, took a fall, landed funny and damaged some tendons. Okay, there's still a little bit of tendon pain here, although I'm now using my my hand and my wrist no problem without the sting, which I had a couple weeks ago in my life. Don't need that anymore. But when it happened, I have a bracelet here, which was a birthday gift 4 or 5 years ago. I don't think I ever took it off until this happened. I had to take it off. I mean, I can slip my finger under this, right? But when it happened, it was digging into my skin because my wrist became inflamed, swelled up, because that's what happens when we injure something. The body brings more blood and lymph to the area to heal it better. And this is a positive thing. This is what needs to happen for it to heal. So I never ice anything. I never do anything. I wouldn't take drugs to reduce inflammation. I would fast, because that's the way we reduce inflammation naturally and optimize the body's ability to heal. Now, I can't guarantee you're not going to, damage your ears if you don't take drugs, but I can guarantee that you're damaging your health by taking drugs, because they're always toxic. Okay, and there's no reason, there should be no need for drugs almost ever. Okay, if it were me, if I were you, what I would do is I would go to my webpage and register for a 28-day remote fast right now, and we can start you tomorrow. Okay, we can talk later today. I'll make time for you, and we will start you tomorrow. And that's the way to actually allow the body to heal. Drugs never heals the body. It only suppresses symptoms and leaves the underlying issue unresolved. And now you've got this toxic substance in your bloodstream as well. Okay, that's why I would never do that. Okay, personally, I would never do it. It's up to you. I mean, remember, doctors and medicine kill more people than anything besides cancer and heart disease. Doctors have the shortest lifespan of any professional on the planet. Okay, I'm not taking advice from doctors personally, not ever. Okay, because they don't have the answers. They've learned a system about suppressing symptoms. That's all they know. They don't understand health and healing. That's not the place to go. Okay, Sherry is here and has made a $5 contribution, said, reflections as you approach your 60th, happiest birthday. Reflections, Sherry, it's a good question. You would think it might be something I'd be doing right now as I approach my 60th. I have to admit, I've been so busy, busier than ever these last few months, that there really hasn't been so much time to reflect. By the time I'm done for the day, I'm pretty worn out and ready to close my eyes. Some nights I might watch a movie, but that, I need to do something mindless. So I'm not doing a lot of reflecting, not at this particular time. I can tell you, I'll be happy to share some of the reflections I've made, not necessarily right now, as I approach 60, but in general in my life. And it is more and more that I become increasingly clear what our true nature is. And that if we can simply drop all the fear and all the negative programming, we can manifest ourselves, and we can truly show up as we are, which is unconditional love. That's when we are heart-centered, that we can feel and function amazingly well when we are willing to experience our emotions and make the choices that actually support a high level of health. This is what happens consistently. I mean, it's, we see it here over and over and over and over again with one client after the next. Okay, so in the last week, I had a client tell me after completing his fast, I've never been this flexible in my life. First day practicing yoga after completing a 28-day process. I had another gentleman tell me on his fourth or fifth day of refeeding, I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm working out, I'm strong, and only 4 or 5 days after completing a 21-day fast, stronger than I've ever been before. Okay, people telling me I feel better than I've ever felt before. Okay, this is what happens, consistently happens when people make optimal choices. Okay, so my reflections, we're in a crazy time in the world, and I think it's important that we stay balanced and heart-centered. We stay conscious and we stay heart-centered. Okay, I don't advocate hating on those people who are out there trying to kill, control the world and kill as many people. I don't recommend that. What I recommend doing instead is understanding that these are damaged people who never felt loved, because people who felt love would never do this to other people, and that we want to stay as balanced as we can. It doesn't mean we pretend everything is perfectly fine and nice, because if we do that, we're not going to be in very good shape. Okay, we're going to get wiped out. Instead, we keep our wits about us. When we stay in touch with reality, which we can do better than ever when we get our bodies vibrating at the highest level possible. Okay, which is what happens when we stay here in our heart and get our bodies clean and functioning well. We vibrate at the highest level possible, and that has us connected to what's true. Okay, that's how we can connect, because everything is available to us all the time. We just have to be able to connect to it. And when we're vibrating in tune, in sync with the rest of nature, we are connected. Okay, that's what happens. It's an amazing thing and maybe hard to understand, but it's what happens. Okay, so let me scroll back up here. I think, thank you, Sherry. So that's that. Wish you were there for that walk. Well, Paula, when you come back, we'll do it again. We'll do it next time. Okay, Adriana Gergesan is here and has made a 50 contribution of runs. I don't know what that is. Adriana Gergesan. It's not Turkish, it's Iranian, I'm guessing. Somewhere in that part of the world, I think, right? But I'm not sure. Thank you so much for the kind contribution, for the birthday gift. Adriana says, happy birthday, Loren. Thank you for the knowledge you share with us. You are very, very welcome. It is a true pleasure to share everything I can. I'm always excited to be here on Friday mornings. It's just something that brings me joy to be able to do. Sometimes I have to share things that aren't very positive, some of the information about what's happening, but I'm so happy to be able to share and to help people by better understanding how our amazing bodies work. Because the fact is, if we're willing to support our bodies will support us really, really well. Really, really well. Okay? All right. Mihai is here, has made a €5 contribution and says hello from Romania. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for your kind contribution. I truly appreciate that. I really do. We have one more. Abram Gonzalez has made a $4.99 contribution. Let me see if I skipped anything here with no, I don't think I missed any other comments. So Abram has made a $4.99 contribution and said, you're an amazing person. I fasted with you before, always watching your videos. Thank you so much Abram. I really appreciate your kind comments. Gitanjali says, happy birthday. Adriana, that's Romanian. Okay, that makes sense. I wouldn't have guessed that your name was Romanian, but shows what I know. It sounds like, well, as I said, I would have guessed maybe, yeah, I guess I don't really know what I'm talking about. But thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Paula says, fasting there is amazing on so many levels. I love the camaraderie, the facilities, the staff, the daily lectures, and your library. I feel great and can't wait to get back there. It's life-changing. Thank you so much, Paula. I appreciate that. That's quite a gift, actually. I appreciate that very much. We know right now we have this session, I think we've had 4 people so far that are back for their second fast. We have most of the people that are here now are telling me that they're already planning their next visit. I mean, we're hearing this from so many people. It really is it's an amazing place. I have an incredible team around me that makes the process, just so much easier. And the place is beautiful and comfortable and improving all the time. Even those of you that were here recently, Paula, you might be surprised. We've already made some, minor improvements since you were here. Minor things. We're always looking to improve in every way we can. And we've got, we're always working on various projects. So, you might be surprised by the time you get back here, the place will probably look a little bit different. Alina Morales is here. Hello, Alina, from Mexico with a 300 peso contribution. Thank you so much, Alina. Alina, happy birthday for your upcoming birthday. Thanks for all your support for healthy living. You are very, very welcome. It's interesting, Alina, because I was thinking about you. If I'm not mistaken, you are in Mexico City. Tell me if that's not right. And I'm asking because I'm going to be heading back to Mexico, it appears, in about 8 weeks. And I wanted to talk to you about the possibility of organizing events in Mexico City. Is it still possible to do these days? Can we bring a group together, maybe outside somewhere? What do you think about that? Let me know your thoughts. You can reach me. Yes, you are. Okay, good. So we can talk about it here. I actually have 2 or 3 minutes left. You probably know this, but you can reach me at info@tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com and let me know. Shoot me a quick message if you don't mind. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested and willing to do. And we can talk about maybe getting together in Mexico City and making something happen there, bringing a group together if you can organize that. I realize it may not be something you're interested in or feel like you're able to do, but if you're interested, let me know. I have some friends who, I forget the name of the town now, but it's between Cancun and Tulum, and I'm thinking we'll go there as well. Alina says, I'd love to do it, but I do not have much time, but I'll see how could I do it. Okay, well, if it's something that's possible, I'd be happy to, I'm going to be coming to Mexico anyway. It's not that hard to fly into Mexico City and then get myself to Cancun from there a day or 2 later on. So if that works, fantastic. Nettie Boo says, happy birthday from Washington, D.C. Thank you for all you do for us. You are so welcome. It's great to hear from you. You're probably aware of this, but I was actually born in the city and raised in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Don't get back there too often anymore. It's been a while now, but maybe I'll see you there someday. So thanks so much for being here, and thanks for your kind birthday wishes. I appreciate that very much. Alexis is back with 549 contribution. It says, thank you for your knowledge and happy birthday. For those who have permanent hear loss and tinnitus, do you think water fast can suppress tinnitus? Well, we've seen it work over and over again. It's not always successful because tinnitus is a complicated issue. Again, it's not well understood what causes it. It's clear to me that it's a symptom of something, and so we have to address the underlying issues. But we have healed it. We've seen it healed many times. And hearing loss, as I told you, we've always had success with people who've lost hearing in regaining some or all of their hearing. Chances are very good if you do this quickly enough, you would probably be very successful. Okay, that's my guess. The sooner the better, but it's up to you. Again, info@tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. If I can help you, you know how to reach me. I'm rushing because it is 10 o'clock and I've got a group of people fasting with me right now who are waiting to hear from me. I will need to initiate that call in just a moment. So let me just say to everybody here, New Stuki says, the water fasting is a powerful tool to get health and true self back. It certainly is. Paul says, yep, I see your quality in it is why I'm leaving paradise to relocate there with total confidence. Las Cascadas being attractive. Las Cascadas is amazing. It's an amazing project. We have a lot of cool things. We didn't get a chance to talk about that today, but there are many cool things happening with Las Cascadas. I'll just tell you briefly. We're working with organizations interested in offering us grants. We have a very cool documentary coming out by Costa Ricans about the environment, well, related to the environment, that are very interested in the project and want to help us work together. I have executives from one of the banks here that want to come see the property, that are interested in the possibility of working with us on that. There's a lot of great things happening. So, Gitanjali, you are very, very welcome. Thank you so much. Namaste. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I will look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thanks so much, Gleese Dog. And there is my call. So I'm gonna head off and take this call, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.